afternoon, Benjamin Hadfield. Teach me to dive. Technical dive instructor here in Idaho, doing an unboxing of the new Mares Sirius Dive Computer. Got to make sure we get that the right direction for you all. This is how it comes. Very slick. I just barely pulled it out of the box for there. So now we get to do the fun unboxing. Now, just be aware, in this video, later on, we'll be going through all the features and descriptions and do a comparison against it and 4 other dive computers that are wrist mounted. We're also going to take it on a dive as well. So stay tuned in this video. You're not only going to get the what's, where's, how's, and why's, the unboxing, but you're going to get an actual dive. So we'll put it on the gimbal and we'll take it down for a dive and see how it performs. But what do you get? What comes in the box? So let's slide this out. Now, I have already unboxed mine earlier. This one is Nikki's, so we have to be extra careful with Nikki's, right? So as we open this up, the first thing we notice is it's got a nice little advertisement, tells you that it is Bluetooth ready, gas integrated, as well as has the ZHL16C, which is very, very happy for us. It also has a beautiful screen, up to 5K gases, and Trimix ready. Now again, later in this video, we are going to be doing a side-by-side comparison of all the different computers and what their feature packs are. Now, one of the things I did like about this one that I haven't seen before is this. This is a definitely pretty slick little laminated feature, Sirius Quick Guide Dive Mode. So what happens when you push the button? What does it look like? What do you get? Same thing on the back, just different features for the surface mode. So nice little quick, easy surface mode dynamic. What happens with that as you go through that as well? Now, we'll just stick that back in because this is Nikki's. We're gonna make sure to try and put it back as closely as humanly possible. Now, inside you get the Sirius with 2 watch bands. Now, the nice thing is for people like me who dive a lot of dry suit diving, that extra long watch band is nice. Now, before you look at this watch band and think, gosh, will that work on my Garmin? No, I already tried it. I played with it. It doesn't work. It's just about that much too small. So before you even think that idea, it does not work. So if we dig into the package a little closer, and to the bottom, we have our cable for USB charging, a couple of nice screen protectors, as well as an induction charging pad. Which is kind of nice because this is an induction charging watch, no cables required. Nice fast charging on that. So we'll put that back in like so. And we'll put that back and set this down. Now, as we pull up our watch, it comes with the nice plastic on it. So we're gonna go ahead and peel that plastic off. I've been induction charging this one. One of the things you're gonna notice about mine, it's gonna be a little different than yours most likely, is mine has the SSI logo on it. So what does that mean? It means I'm an instructor with SSI and I paid some money to renew. So because of that, I was able to get the new Mares red ultra cool Sirius watch. But other than that, no real differences other than it's got the SSI logo built into it. Nice thing is you can go through different screens and have different screens on there as well. So we can click over here if you want it like that. Like that. Tells you where you're at in charge, time, date, all that fun stuff, basic ideas. Now this one navigates just a little differently. It is a long push on the right or on the left side. So give it that long push. There we go. And it takes us over to our feature menu. We can go to info, Bluetooth, set the dive, set the watch as well. So as we kind of go through this, we're able to kind of see what different things. It's got a logbook, it's got a dive planner, info, back to that Bluetooth. Now be aware, Mares does not have a dedicated app just for the watch for setting things like the Suunto or the Perdix or the Shearwater or the Garmin or the Apple or any other dive computer or the Apex. It has the Mares app, and with the Mares app you're able to go in and it is basically a dive log and a place where they put Mares information in there. Here's one of the cool things. So if you're an SSI diver and you use the SSI app, you can use the automatic Bluetooth feature from the SSI app to go in and automatically log your dives from this computer. It is the only computer, Mares computers are the only computers that work with the SSI app. So just be aware of that as well. Other than that, I definitely encourage reading the manual. It's pretty straightforward. It's a nice bright display as you got to go through this. It had a few interesting features in it that I thought were interesting. It does work on the Bowman 16C. ZL16C, which is really nice. It does set up a gradient factor. It does have GF99. In a few minutes, I'm going to be putting up on the screen a nice little display of all 5 wrist-mounted computers and their features as well. So you can certainly go in and you can play with this, set the dive. Here, definitely some features. You can set up the backlight, the compass time, the mode, the algorithm, and the gas integration as well. So we'll just go ahead and click into there, and so we can set up warnings, multi-gas, gas integration, and keep going from there. It is a pretty straightforward computer to work with. Overall, you can set the modes. So let's take a look at the mode. You can set up a bottom timer, single gas or multi-gas. I just got right now to set up to single gas. I will play with it multi-gas, and I'll let you know how I think of that, but it does set up for air or nitrox in single gas. So we'll back out of that. You can set the algorithm. It does come set to 85-85. Don't use 85-85. If you don't understand what gradient factors are, please take a technical diving course. But you can click over here, main GF, multi-day personalization and repetitive dives. Now, it does have one feature that I really liked on this. You can set it to automatically reduce your gradient factor on a multi-day dive or repetitive dive. So if you're out of the water for less than 3 hours, you can have it automatically pull the gradient factor down by 5 or 10 or 15 points, which would be percent. Same thing with multi-dive as well, or you can put on the main gradient factor. You can personalize that so that it's at your gradient factor, for example, 50-85, but you can also have it give you a more a nicer gradient factor other than that as well. So where it's a more conservative. Now, please stay tuned. Next, we're going to talk about the key differences between this and other dive computers. Now, before we jump in the water, let's take a look at a few of the key features of this one. This is definitely a recreational, everyday diving computer, and it'll hold up quite well for that. It has a nice color screen. It does not have mobile notifications, vibration alerts either, but it will take you all the way into multiple gases as well as trimix. It's not designed for CCR, and it will hold 5 pods as well. I really like that it has an automatic altitude adjustment, nice compass, and it's running Bowman ZHL16C, and it also runs gradient factors as well. Now, as we start kind of stacking that up, it's definitely a lot nicer than something like a Suunto D5, but not quite as strong as a Garmin or a Tareq as well. Now, as we start digging into it, it's definitely a lot nicer and a lot more purpose-built than an Apple Ultra. Now, if you're looking for that cool watch to show your friends, Apple all day long, but that's only designed for recreational use only, and it's really not designed to take the beating that something like this will be able to hold. Now, as we dig a little deeper into this, Mares does have a mobile app. They also have the MySSI app. So if you are an SSI diver, this will Bluetooth straight into your log, as well as any other Mares computer. And it does a decent job of it as well. It does have a tissue graph in there. It does have 30 hours per dive time. Deco timers, number of gases, it will do 5 gases and 5 pods, 150 meter depth rating. It doesn't have GPS, but it does have GF99, charges via induction, and uses up to 5 gases on this as well. So definitely a pretty slick little computer, a lot more than what you'd get with just like a Suunto D5, but certainly less than what you get with a Mark II-i or Mark III-i Shearwater Tareq, and tremendously more than what you get with an Apple. Now, as we kind of compare this across, the Suunto D5, 6 to 12 hours, the Garmin, 32 hours to 66 hours, the Tareq, 30 hours, and the Apple Watch, 36 hours. So as you can see, it's really designed to be a head-to-head competitor to the rest of these, just at a lesser price point. If I remember correctly, Mares Sirius is running around $999, whereas the new Garmin is $1599, and the Mark II-i, $1499. The Suunto D5 runs around the same price. $950 is pretty much what we've tested and seen that as well. So definitely it's a good computer, decent price point for what you get, and covers a lot of different features for you. As we dig in a little deeper, this is a view of what you'll get with the actual Mares app or the MySSI app when you Bluetooth in. You can see the difference. The ones in red, those are old scuba dives, and you can see they were manually entered in just basic information. Now the The ones that I've entered here, you can see these are XR dives. Now I had to change that over to XR, but as you clip into it a little deeper, it'll pull up the things like how much gas you use, the CNS, the O2 use at the beginning and the end of the dive, as well as a dive graph. It also puts in a very accurate dive graph with a GF factor in and how fast you're off gassing at what point. It'll also give you a GF99 graph. Now, this would be a lot better, I think, if this GF99 and GF surface graphs were available whilst you're actually reading the computer and looking at it directly. That would definitely be a lot better to be able to see during the dive than so much after the dive, but it's definitely interesting information, and it's really nice to be able to click in this as well. As you turn this sideways, you get a little bit deeper view and you can see everything put together. You can click on any point of the dive and you can start getting a little bit more detailed information. How deep were you? What was your actual GF surface at that point? You can see at this point, this was a Deco dive, so it was 101%. What was your actual gradient factor at that point? And if you're running a pod on this, you'll get the opportunity to look at exactly where you were at in pressure. That'll give you temperature at that point as well. So a lot of great information right there in the Mares app. All right, here we go for a dive. That's my dive buddy over there. That's Nikki, my blushing bride. Yes, we're wearing FFMs, wearing twin sets as well to make sure we get plenty of time on this dive. Air temperature was about 27 degrees. Water temp was in the 39, 40 degree range as well. So nice, definitely brisk dive for this. A nice little challenge. We're also diving high elevation, 5,000 foot elevation. Now, as we look at the Mares, I liked how simple it was. It just very basic, everything that you needed to know, depth, timed NDL, as well as your overall dive time, all in the simple function menu. Now you can certainly go to a much more complicated menu if you'd like by pushing and holding that, pushing really quickly on a short press the lower left-hand button, and it'll take you through a lot more complicated information. The other thing you can do is you also set the backlight to automatic. It's been my experience with this. I didn't like the automatic on of the light on the backlight for this. So what I did is I turned it to on via press. So if I press and hold the upper right hand button with a hard press, there you go. You see, I just turned it on. Now it gets nice and bright. And I hadn't done that at the beginning of the dive just to show you what it would look like without. Now, as you can see, it's nice and bright, easy to see, very, very clear with just straightforward information. We're comparing across on the left, just so you know, that's the good old Garmin Mark II-i, change it with the double taps going through the different screens. On the right, that's a Suunto D5. Now, I apologize. I'd never dove a Suunto D5 before, so I was not able to get it out of anything more than just the basic functions of depth and time. So we're not really going to do much comparison against the D5 today. We're really looking at the Mares Sirius today anyway. And you can see there, every once in a while, you're going to see I tried to play with it, tried to push buttons. I guess I just didn't get how it was supposed to work. But it gave me some basic information that I was able to follow across with. Now, overall, you might think, wait a minute, slow down, Benjamin, you are making me dizzy because you're diving so dang fast. But no, we're not actually going that fast. We're kicking pretty slowly, truthfully. I've got this sped up to about 300 to 400% speed. So you can see already just the a couple of minutes we've been talking here that it's already up to 5 minutes of dive time. Now, one of the things I did like on this as well, if you take a look, it's got 2 bar graphs. I like bar graphs. They're definitely easy to read on there as well. And it starts giving you an idea of how much time you have left in your in. So nice, simple, easy to read. There I am trying to mess with that stupid D5 again. It just couldn't give it better information as well. So I have no idea on that D5 what I was doing, so please ignore that completely. But again, as we go through this, what we're diving today, again, you can see really quickly 41 degrees water temp, and we can also see that it's definitely pretty decent visibility on this lake. This lake is about 5,000 feet elevation, and you can see I'm kind of clicking through some of the different features on there as well, so you can kind of get an idea. But as you can see, the bar graph is moving as we go along. We can see very clearly what's happening. We're starting to get to that point. Now we're probably a third of the way to NDL, and probably a third of the way to our maximum depth that it's set up for warning sight as well. So nice, simple information. Overall, I was very impressed. It was bright through the dive. It was easy to see. There we go, 21% time. Overall, everything you need to know. It's got a great compass on it as well. Here's the comparison of the compass between the Garmin and the Mares Sirius. Now, as we kind of take a look at this, we're going to notice that it just did a nice job. It was simple, easy to read. It almost looked like a direct knockoff of the Garmin, so it did a great job. So as we're starting to navigate around and try and figure out where we're at, we're able to get other information. Now, as we look at this, the Garmin definitely has a lot of information very readily handy that you can put on there. But for older eyes, it definitely can be a little bit more challenging to deal with as we go through this process. Now, I haven't had that big a problem, and I know where the information is, but I know where that information is based upon having done thousands of dives with it, literally. And so I've set up all the screens, and I've got a whole mess of different screens set up on it. Now, just realize that, though, that this is almost a $500 to $600 watch more than what you would spend on the Mares Sirius. Mares Sirius, again, $999 for the setup, and then I believe it's about $400 for a pod if you want to air integrate it. Now, none of these I've set up with air integration, so that's not even a thing. I do have a fourth computer on my wrist, so I'm able to get a good idea. Now, one of the things on this, the warning time for Deco is set, you can set it to 2 minutes before Deco, whereas on the Garmin, you can set it for 10 minutes and 5 minutes, and it'll give you a little bit better warning that, hey, wait a minute, you're getting it ready to go into Deco. Now, simple fix to that. Watch your computer. In the middle, you can see that I'm at 8 minutes till NDL. Now, by the way, all these are set at the same gradient factor. I use 50/85 on just about everything, except for that Suunto. I have no idea what it was set to be honest with you. So please ignore that. But at least it gives you an idea what the Suunto looks like throughout the process in terms of brightness and everything else. We're clicking along. We can see we're 80 feet, kicking along at about 15, 16 minutes in the dive. It was interesting that the Mares and the Garmin stayed pretty close, but I did find it interesting that the Mares got to Deco a little bit faster than the Garmin, but it wasn't enough to say, well, what's going on? Is that really what I need to worry about, or is it something that it's not that big a deal? And when you start talking about 1 minute of difference between NDLs on different computers, I really don't worry that too much about it. As you can see, mostly that's going to be set different because they're reading slightly different depths as well. So you can see 86. So the shearwater or the Garmin is showing just a little shallower sometimes than the Mares. So as we kind of take a look at that, I don't worry too much about that. Now we're finally down to 3 minutes till NDL. No Deco warning for 2 minutes. It's kicking in there. But what does it look like when it goes into Deco? I liked it. I thought it was a very simple progression and a very simple expression of what Deco looked like. We got to Deco pretty quick. As you can see, we're at 108 feet finally on this. That Suunto over there saying 107, so it's slightly different. But it's nice to see that my Garmin and my Mares pretty much gave me pretty darn similar information. Very similar dive times, very similar depths, very similar NDLs. Now we're finally down to 0 minutes till NDL on the Sirius, and we're getting ready to pop into that 1 minute. There we go, NDL exceeded on the Garmin. Look at there, it's giving us our dive ceiling at 20 feet and clicking up from there in terms of time. We're up to 30 seconds. 35 seconds entering Deco now, and what it did, this is pretty slick, is it gave me my time, my ceiling, and my time to surface as well. So it's asking me to do a 10-foot ceiling for 1 minute and it's going to take me 6 minutes to get to the surface. Now, one of the things you might have noticed, it just kicked over and those bar graphs keep changing. That is your ascent rate. And it's nice that it gives you an ascent rate. As we're going up, it gives you that nice green, yellow, red. And I went, what it felt to be a little bit fast. Look, watch the amount of depth that we really decreased. So we're not really going up that much. And so some of it was just it freaking out on me, just being a little overly sensitive, but still, it did a nice job. And I like that it had an ascent warning on it. Here we are, back up to 87 feet. We still have 10 minutes or 10 feet of Deco for 2 minutes, 6 minutes to the surface. Overall, we're looking at the Garmin, 2 minutes of Deco at 20 feet. So it was interesting that it set the ceiling a little higher, so it's definitely expressing and wanting a much more aggressive general gradient off-gassing than the shearwater. But I also have the shearwater set to 20 feet for my last Deco stop. So that is something I've definitely pre-programmed in that is not available on the Sirius, but it's still doing a real good job. We're not going to need to off-gas that fast. Our GF99 is not going to be that high. They're giving me a slow down warning. Slow down, Benjamin, you're going way too fast. So definitely go through the process of that. As you look at that Sunto D5, it's definitely got that ascent meter on the left-hand side as well. It's kind of nice, giving us our temperature. It's telling us we were at 41 degrees. The Garmin really goes into a lot of great detail. 41.1 degrees, right? And we have to go to a different screen to get our overall temperature on the Sirius. But overall, you can see side by side, it did a really nice job. It's giving us 2 red bars telling us we're in Deco. It's telling us very clearly, hey dude, you're in Deco. Don't go past 10 feet for 2 and stay there. Make sure you stay there for at least 2 minutes. And it's gonna take you at least 5 minutes to get to the surface. So a lot of really great information, very simple, right there in front of you. Slow down as you're kind of going through that process. And I did that a few times because I wanted to see some warnings come up. But it definitely has got that ascent meter in there. Slow down, slow down, slow down, and as you kind of go through the process. So really simple, easy to use computer. I was pretty impressed overall. I hate to say it. It's a nice solid computer. I don't know that I would ever wear it as a daily because it does only one thing. It tells the time, right? And the date, of course. It's got a stopwatch and a compass on it, but I don't know how useful that would be for me or how desirous I would want that as a daily watch. So as a daily wear watch, probably won't do it. I'll probably stick with my Garmin because it gives so much more information. It counts my steps. It does all kinds of other cool things. It's got GPS features, hiking features, running features. Things like that. It also has a lot of data features. So I'm able to go in with the Garmin and use the data features. It'll tell me when I got text messages. I'll be able to read those text messages for the most part. I can set other notifications up, like if I got a Facebook notification or whatever. The Sirius doesn't do that. It also, the Sirius does not have vibration alerts either. So just something to be aware of. You can see we're almost out of Deco. It's down to 0 minutes of Deco. Left. You see I got a little bit deeper, so it went back over to 1 minute. So at this point, it's telling me I still have some Deco left. Almost out, almost out. Just chill out wherever you're at. Still have no idea what's going on with the D5. Clicked a bunch of buttons, played with a bunch of different things. Have no idea at all. We're about 32 minutes into the dive at this point. 35 feet, kicking along. You can see the Garmin is almost out in the, there we go. The Sirius came out of Deco first, and now it's giving us our 99 minutes left of NDL. So provided we stay where we're at or shallower, we're not going to go into decompression for another 99 minutes as we kind of go through this process as well. And you can see that the Garmin has come out of Deco as well, and it's given us that same thing. That's pretty common across most dive computers. So when they come in out of Deco and you're not shallow enough for your safety stop, they'll say, oh, wait a minute, you've got 99 minutes you can hang out here before you pop back into Deco as well. So nothing really big to worry about there. Nothing I would be concerned about as well. Again, I like that it was straight simple. I didn't have a lot of information to worry about. You can go to a much more complicated screen. The problem is a lot of times when I go to those more complicated screens with it, I wasn't able to tell what I was looking at. There's just a lot of information, and with my older eyes and not having glasses underwater, I'm not able to really tell what a lot of that stuff is. But as considering this was my second dive on this computer ever, I thought it did a really nice job. It was simple, easy to use, easy to work with. Would I recommend it? Yeah, I think I would. I think it's a nice, simple computer, easy to work with. You can kind of see I'm kicking through. There's turn the lights on, turn the lights off. There's a compass. There's some other information as well. This is the more complicated screen as well, so you can kind of go through. And if your younger eyes could tell me what all that stuff is, fantastic. There's your dive graph that you're able to take a look at right then and there. And we'll click through and just take a look at some other information. There's your tissue graph. I love that it has a tissue graph on it as well. And back over to nice and simple as we kind of take a look through this. Here's some other screens on the Garmin. There's an ascent meter as well, so you're able to kind of see what's going on, where I'm at. This one's tells you kind of what's going on with your gradient factor. Overall, we're in the yellow, so we just need to probably slow down, and it's allowing me to off gas, but and I haven't hit into red yet, but we just need to be aware. We got to spend some time at this depth. Now, coming up soon, you're going to absolutely see where it starts going into. We can see we got a little faster than we probably should have, but here just a little bit, it's going to go into its final phase. We're starting to head up 24 feet. Overall, we're getting 23 feet, and there we go. Right now, 22 feet, the Garmin kicked into the safety stop. That's one of the things I do love that both these computers will do is after Deco, they both kick into a safety stop. I've got them both set to 3 minutes for a final safety stop. We're kicking around at that point, 18, 17 feet in that area, and you can still see them very clearly. I had no problem seeing them. At this point, my light had died. I had put an old battery in that I hadn't charged, so my light was off, so you get to see everything without the light. But you can see, it's very nice, it's clear, it's easy to read. Still got a minute left in our deco and our safety stop. I encourage anytime you do decompression stops, make sure you slow down and do a safety stop. I know there's a lot of arguments why not to, or why you should, or just maybe you should just set your gradient factor a little bit more conservative. But this is cold water. As you can see, 41.1 degrees is what's coming up with on the Garmin. I saw a little bit colder there. You can see the Sirius is showing 39 degrees, so it's definitely it's a little cold. So in the colder temperature, make sure you do a safety stop. It's just to your advantage to make sure you do that. Again, would I recommend this computer? Yes. It's one of those ones, I don't think I would ever kick it out, and I will absolutely start using it, especially since I am an SSI instructor as well, and I do use the SSI app on a regular basis for classes and everything else. There we go. And one of the last features of the computers here is you can see that the Garmin is time to dive lapse. So that's a user settable feature, so I can set it so that it will take 1 minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever I want amount of time before it ends the dive. With the Sirius, the Mares, it gives you 3 minutes, and it lets it click down from there before it actually ends the dive. So if I were to descend anytime right now on that Mares, it would just continue the dive. And so that is not a user settable feature. There we go. Finally, you can see snow on the ground. We had a good time. If you have more questions and you like this kind of content, make sure to subscribe to our channel. Benjamin Hadfield, teach me to dive. Technical dive instructor in Idaho. If you want to see more of this content, subscribe to our channel and hit that notification button for future notifications.